The Dawn of Poland. Legends of a Slavic Heartland. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a world untamed. The wind roars across endless plains, twisting through forests so thick the sun barely dares to peek through. Rivers like the Vistula and the Oder carve their paths, their waters glinting under a sky that's seen more winters than any soul could count. It's the 5th century, maybe earlier, and the Slavs are here, scattered across this wild expanse. They're not a nation yet, not even close. Picture them. Hunters stalking deer through the undergrowth, farmers wrestling with rocky soil, warriors clutching spears as they scan the horizon. Who were they? No grand chronicler scribbled their names. Their lives were etched in the earth, fleeting, fragile, forgotten. Or so it seemed. This is Poland's dawn, not with fanfare or golden banners, but with quiet, stubborn steps toward something greater. Now, let's spin a tale that's echoed through the ages. It's the 8th century, or so the storytellers claim, and a man named Lech climbs a hill. The sun's sinking, bleeding red across the sky, and then he sees it, a white eagle, wings spread wide, soaring against that crimson glow. It's a sight that stops his breath. "Here," he declares, voice thick with wonder. "This is our home." His brothers, Czech and Russ, shrug and wander off, south, east, chasing their own fates. But Lech stays, roots digging deep. Is it true? Historians roll their eyes. No parchments prove Lech existed. Yet dig into the dirt, and the 6th century whispers back. Settlements, iron blades, traces of a people who wouldn't fade. That eagle? It's no mere bird. It's Poland's pulse, a symbol born in myth, but hardened by time. Pull back the veil, and the real story unfolds. Before Lech, before anyone dreamed of Poland, these lands teemed with life. The 5th century saw the Slavs spilling across Eastern Europe, nudged by the Huns' chaos, drawn by open fields. They weren't alone. Goths had stormed through. Celts had lingered, leaving footprints soon buried. But the Slavs endured. By the 7th century, they're hammering out a life. Wooden huts clustered near rivers, amber traded for foreign coins, skirmishes with neighbors testing their grit. The Polans, one tribe among many, take root. Their name means people of the fields, and those fields are vast, green in summer, brutal in winter. No palaces, no kings, just chiefs barking orders, families huddling by fires, and a slow, stubborn spark of something bigger. Here's where it gets wild. No one saw them coming. The Romans, crumbling in the west, didn't care. The Byzantines, dazzling in the south, barely glanced north. These Slavs, these rough, unpolished tribes, were nobodies on the world stage. Yet by the 9th century, their leaders rise. Power shifts like the wind. One moment, you're sowing barley. The next, you're kneeling to a warlord who promises safety from the next raid. The tribes clash, merge, grow. That eagle from Lech's vision? It's more than a story now. It's a flicker of unity in a fractured land 90 minutes from here. You'll see how this shaky start forged a nation that faced down empires, survived erasure, and roared back to life. So get cozy. Poland's tale begins now, and it's a slow burn you won't want to miss. The golden age of the Piasts, from tribes to a kingdom. Fast forward from the wild plains and whispered legends. It's the 10th century, and the air crackles with change. The Slavs, those scattered tribes of farmers and fighters, are stirring. Among them, a man steps forward, his name ringing like a hammer on steel. Mieszko. He's no myth, no shadowy figure from a bard's tale. He's real, born around 935, a leader of the Polans with a vision sharper than any blade. Picture this. The year is 966, and Mieszko kneels before a cross, water dripping from his brow. He's baptized, binding his people to the Christian world. Why? It's not just faith, it's power. Rome's blessing, alliances with neighbors, a shield against chaos. This isn't a quiet moment. It's the birth of a nation, and it's loud. Zoom in on those fields and forests. Mieszko's not just a dreamer. He's a builder. Wooden forts rise along the Vistula, their timbers dark against the sky. Villages swell, buzzing with trade, amber, furs, salt. But it's not all peace. Rival tribes snarl from the shadows, and beyond them, the Holy Roman Empire looms, greedy and watchful. Mieszko fights, he marries, he schemes. In 962, he weds Dobrawa, a Bohemian princess, cementing ties south. She's no pawn, she's fire, pushing him toward that baptism. By the time he dies in 992, Poland's no longer a patchwork of clans. It's a duchy, rough-edged but real, stretching from the Baltic to the Carpathians. The Polans aren't just people of the fields anymore. They're a force. Enter his son, Bolesław the Brave, tall, fierce, a king in all but name. It's 1000, and he's got his father's grit, plus a hunger for more. The empire next door, under Otto III, calls him friend, until it doesn't. In 1025, Bolesław seizes his moment. A crown rests on his head, forged in Gniezno, Poland's beating heart. He's the first king, crowned not by luck, but by blood and will. Imagine the scene. Golden fields sway under a spring sun. Wooden churches hum with chants. Warriors clash mugs of mead. This is the Piast dynasty's golden age. Poland's no longer a whisper on the wind. It's a shout. But glory's fragile. Bolesław dies that same year, and the crown wobbles. Heirs squabbling like wolves over a kill. Step back and feel the weight of it. This isn't just about kings. It's about a people finding their spine. The 10th and 11th centuries see towns sprout. Poznan, Kraków, stone replacing wood, faith sinking roots. Raiders from the east, pagans from the north, test Poland's mettle, but the Piasts hold. They're not perfect. Mieszko's wars drained the land. Bolesław's ambition sparked feuds. Yet something sticks, a sense of us. That eagle from Lech's tail soars higher now, its white wings a banner for a kingdom clawing its way up. 90 minutes from here, you'll see how this golden flicker faced storms that nearly snuffed it out. For now, settle in. This is Poland rising, rough, raw, and ready. The Jagiellonian dream. A union that shaped Europe. Step into the 14th century, where Poland's story takes a wild turn. The Piast crowns wobbling, kings die young, heirs bicker, and the land's a chessboard for power. Then a girl changes everything. Jadwiga, barely 10, is crowned king. Yes, king. In 1384. She's no figurehead. She's a saint in the making, her will as fierce as the winter winds. Across the border, a pagan Grand Duke named Jogaila rules Lithuania, a sprawling realm of forests and warriors. Their worlds collide in 1386 when they marry. Picture it. A Polish cathedral, incense thick in the air, 2 crowns forging one destiny. This isn't just a wedding. It's a union that redraws Europe's map. Why does it matter? Jogaila converts, baptized as Władysław, and drags Lithuania into Christendom with him. Together they birth the Jagiellonian dynasty. Poland and Lithuania fused, a colossus from the Baltic to the Black Sea. It's not all romance. In 1387, Jadwiga marches to reclaim Red Ruthenia, her resolve outshining her knights. But the real test comes in 1410. The Teutonic Knights, armored zealots with crosses on their chests, threaten both realms. At Grunwald, Władysław and his cousin Vytautas lead 50,000 men against them. Swords clash, banners fall, and the knights crumble. It's a victory so loud it echoes for centuries. Poland's not just surviving, it's flexing. Zoom out to the golden haze of this age. The Jagiellonian realm isn't some grim fortress. It's a patchwork of tolerance. Jews flee persecution to Kraków. Scholars scribble in Latin. Merchants haggle in a dozen tongues. By 1454, The 13 Years' War kicks the Teutonic Knights down again, handing Poland Prussia's riches. Castles rise, Wawel gleams, Malbork hulks, and towns bustle with brick and ambition. Władysław's sons keep the dream alive, ruling till 1506. This is peak Poland, a union so vast it rivals empires, yet nimble enough to dodge their claws. But shadows creep, neighbors envy, nobles grumble. Can it last? Here's the heart of it. This isn't just about land or battles. It's a vision. Liberty stitched with strength. Jadwiga dies in 1399, mourned as a saint, her legacy a kingdom that dares to dream big. The Jagiellons turn Poland into a player, not a pawn. By the 15th century, it's a beacon. Art blooms, Copernicus peers at the stars, and the eagle's wings stretch wide. 90 minutes from now, you'll see how this dream bends under pressure, how greatness frays. For now, sink into this golden moment. Poland's not just on the map. It's rewriting it, one bold step at a time. The Commonwealth rises. Liberty in a sea of empires. The stage shifts again. It's the 16th century, and Poland's golden glow is blinding. The Jagiellonian dream hits a snag in 1572 when the last king, Sigismund II Augustus, dies without an heir. The throne's empty, but the nobles aren't sweating. They've got a wild idea. Why not elect their kings? Enter the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, born in 1569 at the Union of Lublin. Picture this. A vast realm, from the Baltic's icy shores to Ukraine's steppes, where two nations clasp hands and say, "We're stronger together." It's not just a merger, it's a radical experiment in liberty, surrounded by empires hungry to swallow it whole. Zoom in on the chaos of that first election. In 1573, nobles, thousands of them, gather on a field near Warsaw. They're not meek peasants. They're bearded, sword-wielding landowners, drunk on power and mead. They pick Henry Valois, a French prince, but he bolts back to France within months. Next up is Stephen Bathory in 1576, a Transylvanian warrior with a knack for war. He smashes Muscovy's ambitions at Velikie Luki in 1581, proving this Commonwealth can punch. Then comes Sigismund III Vasa in 1587, a Swedish-born king with Catholic fire in his veins. He shifts the capital to Warsaw, planting Poland's heart in the center. This isn't a kingdom anymore. It's a beast with 2 heads and 1,000,000 voices. What makes it tick? The Golden Liberty, a system so free it's dizzying. Nobles, 10% of the population, hold the reins. They've got the laborum veto, meaning any one of them can halt the Sejm, the parliament, with a single "I object." It's democracy on steroids, or anarchy waiting to happen. Meanwhile, the land thrives. Grain flows from Ukraine's black soil, feeding Europe. Krakow's university hums with thinkers. Gdańsk's ports glitter with trade. By 1600, the Commonwealth spans nearly 1 million square kilometers, bigger than France, richer than most. Religious tolerance reigns. Catholics, Orthodox, Jews, even Muslims coexist. It's a mosaic, not a monolith, and that's its strength. But strength invites enemies. In 1605, Sigismund III dreams big, too big. He meddles in Sweden, sparking wars that drain the coffers. Then come the Cossacks, wild horsemen from the south, rebelling in 1648 under Bohdan Khmelnytsky. Blood soaks the steppes, towns burn. Muscovy sniffs weakness, clawing at the east. By 1655, the deluge hits. Sweden invades, ravaging half the Commonwealth in a blitz. Warsaw falls. The eagle staggers. Yet it rises again, thanks to King John Casimir's grit at Częstochowa, where monks and soldiers defy the odds. This is peak Commonwealth, glorious, messy, teetering on the edge. Step back and breathe it in. This isn't just a state, it's a gamble. A land where nobles play kings, where freedom's a double-edged sword. By 1697, Augustus II takes the throne, but the cracks are showing. The veto paralyzes. Neighbors sharpen their knives. Still, for a century, this Commonwealth shines, a beacon of liberty in a sea of crowns. 90 minutes from now, you'll see how it crumbles, how freedom becomes a ghost. For now, savor this. Poland at its wildest, boldest, most alive, a giant dancing on a tightrope, daring the world to watch. The fall of a giant, partitions, and the vanishing nation. The Commonwealth's glow is fading. It's the 18th century, and the air feels heavy, like a storm's brewing. That wild experiment in liberty, with its elected kings and noble vetoes, is stumbling. The year is 1764, and Stanisław August Poniatowski takes the throne. Poland's last king. He's cultured, charming, a lover of art, but he's also Russia's puppet, hand-picked by Catherine the Great. The nobles still strut, clinging to their golden liberty, but it's a hollow boast. The Sejm's a circus, every law's a shouting match, every veto a hammer blow. Around them, 3 wolves circle: Russia, Prussia, and Austria. The Commonwealth's a feast, and they're starving. This is how a giant falls, not with a bang, but a slow, suffocating choke. It starts with a slice. In 1772, the first partition hits. Russia's got its claws in the east, stirring unrest among Orthodox peasants. Prussia grabs the north. eyeing Gdansk's trade. Austria swoops south, swallowing fertile Galicia. They meet in secret, divvying up 1/5 of the Commonwealth, over 700,000 square kilometers, while Stanisław signs, helpless. Imagine the scene, maps redrawn, villages waking to foreign flags, nobles raging but powerless. The eagle's wings are clipped, yet it flaps on. Hope flickers in 1791 with the May 3rd Constitution, Europe's first codified charter, curbing the veto, promising reform. It's a desperate gasp, a shout of defiance. But the wolves don't flinch. The second partition strikes in 1793. Russia and Prussia smell blood after crushing a noble confederation opposed to the Constitution. This time, they carve deeper. Poland shrinks to a shadow, barely 200,000 square kilometers. The Sejm, bullied into submission, ratifies the loss. Towns empty as soldiers march in, the treasury's a beggar's cup. Enter Tadeusz Kościuszko in 1794, a hero forged in America's Revolution. He rallies peasants and nobles alike, scythes and muskets in hand, and fights at Rakowicz. It's a spark. Warsaw rises, Krakow cheers, but it's not enough. Russia crushes him at Maciejowice. The eagle's pinned. This isn't just war. It's a death knell ringing louder with every boot step. The final blow lands in 1795. The third partition wipes Poland off the map. Russia takes the east, Prussia the west, Austria the rest. Stanisław abdicates, weeping in Grodno as foreign troops flood Warsaw. 3 million souls wake to no nation, no king, no commonwealth, no eagle. It's gone, erased in a handshake between empires. Imagine the silence, churches tolling for a ghost, farmers staring at fields now owned by strangers. For 123 years, Poland vanishes, swallowed whole. Yet underground, the pulse beats on, songs, whispers, dreams of a day when the chains snap. This is the fall, the dark before the dawn. Step back and feel the weight. This isn't just a collapse, it's a warning. Liberty unchecked turned to paralysis. Neighbors pounced when the giant slept. By 1795, the Commonwealth's a memory, its borders scars on someone else's map. But Poland's not dead, it's buried, waiting. 90 minutes from now, you'll see how it claws back, how resilience trumps despair. For now, linger here, a nation undone, not by swords alone, but by its own fractured heart and the cold greed of empires. Settle in. This is the quiet before the roar. Echoes in the dark. Poland under foreign rule. The map's blank where Poland once stood. It's 1795, and the Commonwealth's a ghost. 3 empires. Russia, Prussia, Austria. Carve up the corpse, their borders swallowing a nation whole. Imagine waking to silence. No eagle soaring, no same bickering, just foreign tongues barking orders. For 123 years, Poland's a shadow, its people split under iron fists. Russia claims the East, renaming it Vistula Land, a cold slap to erase identity. Prussia grabs the West, bleaching Polish names into German echoes. Austria takes the South, softer but still a jailer. This isn't just occupation, it's suffocation. A deliberate grinding down of a spirit that refuses to break. Yet, in the dark, whispers grow. Life under the partitions isn't quiet surrender. In 1807, Napoleon storms through, a whirlwind in a French coat. He crafts the Duchy of Warsaw from Prussia's chunk. A sliver of hope, 10,000 square kilometers of puppet freedom. Poles flock to his banners, dreaming of resurrection. At Wagram in 1809, their lancers bleed for him, but it's a tease. By 1815, Napoleon's done. Waterloo snuffs his empire, and the Congress of Vienna redraws the lines. Russia swallows the duchy, spitting out a Kingdom of Poland tied to the Tsar's leash. It's a cruel joke. Autonomy on paper, chains in practice. The eagle's caged, but its eyes still burn. The spark ignites in 1830. The November uprising erupts in Warsaw. Young cadets, poets, and grizzled veterans storm the streets, shouting for liberty. They seize the city, crown a provisional government, and for 11 months, Poland breathes free. The Tsar snarls. 50,000 Russian troops march in. At Grochow in 1831, cannons roar. 10,000 die, and the rebellion drowns in blood. Survivors flee west or rot in Siberia's frost. Russia tightens the screws. No more parliament, no more army, just a boot on the neck. Schools teach Russian. Churches bow to orthodoxy. It's erasure, slow and brutal, but the Poles don't forget. Songs hum in secret. Banned books pass hand to hand. Another flame flickers in 1863. The January Uprising. This time, it's guerrilla war. Peasants with scythes, nobles with smuggled rifles, striking from forests and shadows. They want land, freedom, Poland reborn. For 2 years, they dodge Russian patrols. 20,000 rebels against an empire. But numbers win. By 1865, The Tsar hangs the leaders in Warsaw's squares, their bodies swaying as warnings. Prussia's no kinder. Bismarck's Kulturkampf in the 1870s bans Polish schools, drafts boys into German ranks. Austria's gentler. Galicia gets a taste of autonomy, but it's still a cell with silk curtains. The eagle's voice is a rasp, but it won't hush. Zoom out to the weight of it all. By 1900, Poland's a memory stretched thin. Russia rules 3/4 of the old Commonwealth, its grip ironclad. Prussia's west is a machine. Factories rise, but Polish souls shrink. Galicia's south clings to scraps. Krakow whispers of old glory, yet something stirs. In cellars, poets pen defiance. In exile, men like Piłsudski plot. The Great War looms in 1914, and empires tremble. Poles fight under foreign flags, Russian, German, Austrian, hoping chaos births chance. This is the dark, a century of chains, of names scrubbed, of children taught to forget. 90 minutes from now you'll see the dawn break, the eagle soar again. For now, lie still. These echoes in the dark are Poland's heartbeat, faint but fierce. The fight for freedom, rebirth after World War I. The darkness cracks. It's 1914, and the world's aflame. The Great War tears through Europe, a meat grinder of empires. For Poland, partitioned and voiceless for 123 years, it's a grim lottery. Russia, Prussia, Austria, the jailers, turn their guns on each other. Poles are pawns. 300,000 fight for the Tsar, 200,000 for the Kaiser, 80,000 for the Habsburgs. Fields once golden with wheat now churn red with blood. Verdun, Tannenberg, Galicia's mud-swallowing sons who dream of home. But chaos is a chisel. As empires stagger, a man steps from the shadows. Józef Piłsudski, exile turned soldier, his eyes fixed on a free Poland. This isn't just war, it's the crack where light seeps in. Rewind a bit. Piłsudski's no stranger to the fight. Born in 1867 under Russian rule, he's a rebel by blood, printing banned books, plotting in cellars. By 1914, he's leading Polish legions under Austria, a gamble to turn their war into his revolution. He's cunning. When Germany and Austria offer a puppet Kingdom of Poland in 1916, he sniffs the trap. He quits, gets locked up in Magdeburg by 1917. Meanwhile, the West stirs. In 1918, America's Woodrow Wilson drops a bombshell. His 14 points demand a free Poland with sea access. Russia's out. Bolsheviks topple the Tsar in 1917, leaving a vacuum. The eagle's wings twitch. Freedom's close enough to taste. November 11, 1918, the day the guns fall silent. Germany surrenders. Austria crumbles. Russia's a mess. Piłsudski's freed, rolling into Warsaw on a train like a liberator from a tale. Crowds cheer, hats fly. He's named Chief of State that day, the Second Polish Republic, born in the ashes. But rebirth isn't tidy. Borders are guesswork. 6 million Poles live outside the lines. In the east, Ukraine and Lithuania claw for their own freedom, clashing with Polish dreams. In 1919, the Polish-Ukrainian War flares. Lviv burns. 10,000 die. Then comes the big one, the Polish-Soviet War. In 1920, Lenin's Red Army surges west, aiming to drown Poland and spark a global revolution. It's do or die. August 1920, the Battle of Warsaw, the miracle on the Vistula. Piłsudski's a fox. 68,000 Poles face 114,000 Soviets. He feints, flanks, strikes. For 5 days, cannon smoke chokes the sky. 30,000 fall. Warsaw holds. The Reds flee. Europe gasps. Poland's not just back, it's a shield. The Treaty of Riga in 1921 sets the eastern line. Poland gains 200,000 square kilometers, a jagged slice of old glory. Westward, uprisings in Silesia wrestle coal lands from Germany. 3 bloody revolts by 1921 win a chunk. Versailles hands over Poznan. Gdańsk's a free city, a bitter compromise. The eagle soars, but its feathers are ruffled. Take a breath. This Poland's no fairy tale. By 1922. It's a patchwork. 15 million Poles, 6 million Ukrainians, 3 million Jews, 1 million Germans. The same's a shouting match again. 500 deputies. No unity. Piłsudski steps back in 1923, disgusted, but coups back in 1926, ruling as a stern father till his death in 1935. The economy limps, 30% rural, factories sparse. Yet there's pride. Warsaw rebuilds, universities hum, the eagle flies over 260,000 square kilometers. 90 minutes from now, you'll see this fragile dawn shatter under new storms. For now, settle in. This is Poland clawing free, a nation reborn in fire, stubborn as ever. Between the hammers, Poland in World War II, the air's thick with dread. It's 1939, and Poland's a lamb between wolves. The Second Polish Republic, barely 20 years old, stands fragile, its borders a taunt to giants. To the west, Hitler's Germany flexes, a war machine oiled with hate. To the east, Stalin's Soviet Union looms, cold and calculating. On September 1, 1939, the storm breaks. Nazi tanks roar across the frontier, 800,000 strong. Luftwaffe bombs rain on Warsaw. Villages burn. 2 weeks later, September 17, the Soviets stab from the east. 600,000 boots crush the border. It's no war, it's a slaughter, a secret pact carving Poland in half. The eagle falls, caught between two hammers. The fight's brutal, brief. Poland's got 360,000 soldiers, brave, outgunned. Cavalry charges tanks at Krojanty, a myth born in desperation. Warsaw holds till September 27. 50,000 civilians dead under rubble. By October 6, it's over. 200,000 Poles killed or captured. The Nazis take the west, Soviets the east, splitting 3 million square kilometers of history. Hitler's vision: Poles as slaves, Jews erased. Stalin's plan: dissenters shot, elites deported. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, signed August 23, 1939, is their handshake of doom. 6 million Poles under swastikas, 6 million under the sickle. Resistance flickers. 50,000 escape to fight abroad. But Poland's a grave, silent under twin boots. Hell deepens in 1940. The Nazis build camps. Auschwitz opens June 14, a name soon synonymous with death. 3 million Polish Jews, 90% of them, face gas chambers, ghettos, starvation. Poles fare little better. 1,800,000 shipped as forced labor, 200,000 kids stolen for Germanization. Soviets match the horror. April 1940. Katian Forest. 22,000 officers shot. Brains spilled into pits. Deportations to Siberia claim 100,000 more. Yet defiance grows. The Home Army, 350,000 strong, sabotages rails, smuggles intel. In 1942, the Jagiellonian saves Jews. Couriers like Witold Pilecki sneak into Auschwitz, screaming truth to the world. August 1, 1944. Warsaw rises. The Home Army, 40,000 rebels, seizes streets, dreaming of freedom as the Soviets near. For 63 days, they fight. 200,000 civilians die in crossfire, buildings razed. Stalin halts his army across the Vistula, smirking as Nazis crush the uprising by October 2. Hitler orders Warsaw flattened. 85% gone, a city of ghosts. The West watches. Britain, America send words, not planes. Poland's betrayed twice, first by the pact, now by allies who let it bleed. By 1945, 6 million Poles are dead, 1/5 of the nation. 3 million Jews, 3 million others. The eagle's wings are ash. The end comes bitter. January 1945, Soviets liberate Poland. 500,000 troops roll in, swapping one yoke for another. Nazis flee, leaving camps and corpses. Yalta's deal, February 4, hands Poland to Stalin. Borders shift west. 3 million Germans expelled, 7 million Poles displaced. The Second Republic's dead. A People's Republic rises under Moscow's thumb. Yet in the rubble, spirit endures. Secret schools, hidden flags, tales of the fallen. 90 minutes from now, you'll see how this broken land fights anew. For now, lie still. This is Poland between the hammers, crushed but unbowed, its heartbeat a stubborn echo in the dark. The Iron Curtain years. Resistance in a Soviet shadow. The war's dust settles. It's 1945, and Poland's a battered prize. The Nazis are gone, their camps silent scars, but freedom's a mirage. Stalin's Red Army, 500,000 strong, sprawls across the land, a liberator turned jailer. Yalta's ink, signed February 4, hands Poland to the Soviet sphere, borders shoved west like a child's toy. 3 million Germans flee Silesia. 7 million Poles stagger from lost eastern lands. The People's Republic of Poland rises in 1947, a puppet with Moscow pulling strings. The eagle's chained under a red star, its wings clipped by the Iron Curtain. This isn't peace. It's a cold gray dawn where defiance simmers beneath the frost. Life turns grim fast. By 1948, the Polish United Workers' Party, communist to the bone, grips power. Stalin's man, Bolesław Bierut, rules with an iron fist. Factories churn for Moscow, coal, steel, grain siphoned east. 150,000 enemies vanish, home army vets, priests, poets, shot or shipped to gulags. In 1952, a Soviet-style constitution locks it in. No elections, no dissent, just propaganda blaring from loudspeakers. Peasants lose land. Collectivization starves villages. Bread lines stretch. Warsaw's a skeleton. Rebuilt in brutalist blocks, its soul buried under concrete. Yet whispers grow. Underground presses hum. Church pews fill. The eagle's pulse beats in secret. The dam breaks in 1956. Stalin's dead 3 years, and his ghost weakens. June 28, Poznan's workers, 10,000 strong, strike. They're tired, bread's scarce, wages laughable. "We want freedom!" they shout, storming streets. Tanks roll in. 70 die, blood staining factory floors. But it's a crack. Khrushchev blinks, lets Władysław Gomułka take charge. He's Polish, not Soviet, promising a thaw. Censorship eases. 50,000 prisoners limp free. It's no revolution. Moscow's leash stays tight, but the eagle stirs. Cardinal Stefan Wyszyński, jailed since 1953, walks out, a quiet giant rallying faith against fear. Poland's not bowing. It's biding time. Flash to 1970. Prices soar. Bellies growl. December 14. Gdańsk's shipyards workers. 20,000 souls. Down tools. Protests flare. Police fire. 42 die in Gdynia. Bodies carted off in silence. Edward Gierek replaces Gomułka, promising meat on tables, loans from the West. The 70s bloom briefly. Cars roll out, TVs flicker, but it's a house of cards. Debt piles, $2 billion by 1976. Then, 1980, food hikes again. August 14, Gdańsk strikes anew. Lech Wałęsa, an electrician with a mustache and a fire, climbs a gate. Solidarity's born. 10 million join, a union turned rebellion. The eagle's wings flex. Moscow growls but holds back. December 13, 1981. The hammer falls. General Wojciech Jaruzelski declares martial law. Tanks clog streets. 30,000 arrested. 91 dead. Solidarity's banned. Wałęsa caged. Curfews choke nights. Phones go silent. Yet resistance hums. Underground radios crackle. Priests smuggle hope. By 1983, martial law lifts. Wałęsa's free. Wins the Nobel Peace Prize. The economy's a wreck. 300% inflation by 1988. 1989 cracks it open. Round table talks force elections. June 4, Solidarity sweeps 99 of 100 Senate seats. The Iron Curtain frays, Poland's clawing free. 90 minutes from now, you'll see the new dawn. For now, drift here, a nation in shadows, its roar muffled but rising. A new dawn, solidarity, and the modern Polish spirit. The Iron Curtain's fraying, it's 1989, and Poland's air hums with change. June 4, a vote shatters the silence. Solidarity, that outlawed union of 10 million, storms the first semi-free elections. 99 of 100 Senate seats, 35% of the Sejm. Communists reel, their red star fading. August 24, Tadeusz Mazowiecki, a soft-spoken solidarity man, becomes Prime Minister, the first non-communist leader since the war. The People's Republic crumbles. The Third Polish Republic rises in 1990. Moscow's grip slips across Eastern Europe, dominoes fall. The eagle shakes off chains, its wings wide against a dawn Poland's fought centuries for. This isn't just a shift, it's a rebirth, raw and roaring. Freedom's messy. By 1991, the Soviet bloc's dead. Poland's alone, broke, eager. Leszek Balcerowicz unleashes shock therapy. State factories privatize, prices soar, inflation hits 586%. Jobs vanish. 2 million unemployed by 1993. Warsaw's streets buzz with hawkers, not tanks. Bread lines turn to bread stalls. Yet hope glints. 1992 brings foreign cash, $10 billion in investments by decade's end. Lech Wałęsa, hero of Gdańsk, wins the presidency in 1990. 5 years of grit, steering a nation from rubble. The eagle flies, but its feathers are patched. Capitalism's a beast, and Poland's learning to tame it, one shaky step at a time. The world knocks. 1999, March 12. Poland joins NATO. 350,000 troops. Under its shield, a jab at Russia. A hug from the West. May 1, 2004. The European Union opens its arms. Poland's in. 20 million citizens now European. Trade booms. Exports hit $150 billion by 2010. Highways stretch, 2,000 kilometers paved by 2015. Warsaw's skyline sprouts glass towers. Krakow's cobblestones hum with tourists. 10 million a year by 2019. The Zloty strengthens, but shadows linger. Rural towns lag. Youth flee west. The eagle's proud, but its nest needs mending. Politics twist. 2005 sees law and justice rise. Conservative, Catholic, wary of Brussels. Jarosław Kaczynski, a twin shadowed by his brother's death in 2010's Smolensk crash, pulls strings. They win again in 2015. 37% of votes, pushing courts, media, tradition. Protests flare. 50,000 march in Warsaw, December 2016, crying democracy. Yet faith holds. Pope John Paul II's legacy, canonized 2014, lifts spirits. By 2020, Poland's 38 million strong, its GDP $300 billion. It's no paradise. Inequality stings, history haunts. But the eagle's talons grip firm. Defiance its birthright. Step back. This is Poland now. March 28, 2025. From Lech's eagle to solidarity's triumph, it's a tale of falling and rising, again and again. 3 partitions, 2 world wars, 44 years under Soviet frosts. Yet here it stands. Cities gleam. Gdansk's docks. 200 ships daily. Wrocław's bridges. 120 and counting. Tech blooms. 500 startups in Warsaw alone. Challenges bite, climate floods, Russia's growl. But the spirit's unbroken. The eagle soars over 212,000 square kilometers, its white and red a banner of resilience. You've walked 90 minutes through Poland's soul. Now rest. This is its new dawn, fierce, flawed, forever fighting. Unfortunately, this video ends here. But don't worry, there's plenty more to explore. If you're still awake, feel free to comment your country and the current time below. Don't forget to check out our playlist in the description for more the entire history of videos to help you drift off. If you enjoyed this, a like and a subscription would mean the world to us. Sleep well, and see you in the next story.